If it's that, the laws will catch up with him. I don't think it's that. I think it's the guy that's been consistent, quite all right. And I think we need to protect him. So thank you so much. And these are sizable books. They are minimum 200 pages. You can download them absolutely for free by simply going to, for example, this one, you just go to getmymarriageback.com, smartrealestatewholesaling.com, realestatemoneysecrets.com. So yes, I am a 3 times author, and those books are out there for your consumption, and they are also available everywhere on Amazon, anywhere that you pick up books. So in case you prefer a physical book like that. So some of us say, oh yeah, that's just on the Western world. That's not true. It's happening in Lagos, Nigeria. Any westernized city in the world. We're talking about Cairo, we're talking about Nairobi, Kenya, we're talking about anywhere where they have easy access to the internet. They're destroying their own families because of the feminism movement and the direct response to that, which is men basically losing their shit and thinking they can compete with women. I don't think we should be competing with women. If anything, we should find out what went wrong and stop competing with women. Not to start forming our own version of feminism, and then it's now a battle of gender, right? I think if anything, if you care about relationships, we need to start teaching people about the nuances of what builds relationship. There's compromise involved, right? If you have majority of the space teaching people, right? You have majority of the space teaching people that compromise means you're simping. We got a serious problem. You might as well just call it feminism 2.0. Does that make any sense, right? Any type of relationship, not just marriage, you have to compromise. Sometimes you just do things for people that are not necessarily convenient just because you love them, just because you like them. But when we're talking about marriage, especially somebody that's been married for 25 years, they had transgressions, and oh yeah, you're hearing that for the first time. You never heard about transgressions before, right? Because they had transgressions in their marriage in the past, because they made a boo-boo with the stupid red table talk. We're not just going to turn around and say, oh yeah, that's simping. Then we're focused on simping and simping on simping. That's his wife. Not exactly sure you can call that simping. I'm not sure about that. I think if anything, I think we should refocus back as a community and a society on helping people learn how to nurture relationships. Men need to understand power dynamics. Black men, both Africa, in the diaspora and both on the continent, they need to learn power dynamics and stop crying for help. They need to take power. Power is never given. And the way you can do that today is not necessarily guns. It's not. You need to understand how the opponents or the oppressors, you need to understand how they operate. We need to really, really get all the way calm down. We need to calm down, right? Anyway, so let's go here. They had a great run. Better to have love and lost. They never had loved at all. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's not, I don't know. All we know is what we can see, right? But what I'm saying is that sometimes we have trouble with gratitude. We don't appreciate the little things, right? I'll tell you this story. I was on Clubhouse. I'll just use this to finish up this session, right? I was on Clubhouse. I do engage in a group called the Alpha Male Mentality. And there's a bunch of young men. Majority of them just want to roast women. They have a good time roasting women. So every time I get a chance, I chime in there and I keep my foot on their neck and say, stop that shit. They're full of shit. If you get your dick hard because you're roasting women, you have serious problems. But anyway, so there was this girl that came on there, and she told a story, and she basically said she was being asked a question, and she basically said she wouldn't want to marry her father. So now the young man started interpreting that as she's not grateful, that she's not, and then they started asking her questions. Say, oh, how did you, because she's from Nigeria, like myself. She was sent to school here from Nigeria by her father, which means the father paid for, she has no school loans, right? None of that. The father paid for a whole degree all the way from Nigeria. That's very expensive. That's usually above middle class type of people that can basically afford that from Nigeria. But she's in that same breath saying she doesn't appreciate. They interpreted it as she's saying she doesn't appreciate her father. What she was trying to say precisely, she said it verbatim, is that I don't want my father as my husband. I don't want the type of person my father is. She said she saw how her father treated her mother, and she felt like the father was controlling. She said the father was controlling. Now, I thought she was quite overboard, quite a bit, right? I thought she was definitely treading that ungrateful line, right? But then this young man spent, I don't know, about 3-4 hours roasting her in one way or the other. They were roasting her. They were going in on her, how ungrateful she is, how dare she is. She's from the feministic thing. She's one of those feminists. And, this conversation became about feminists. And she said she'd like her husband to be able to be understanding and not try to force her to do things, anything like that. Now, from my school of thought, you have to let a woman come and go because they're like cats. That's my school of thought, And if you love in a way that they feel free, they won't go, right? It depends on context. It depends on what we're talking about as well. Point is that aggression is not always, for the most part, it's not going to be what you're going to need. It's not your leverage point, right? But it seems like the father was quite old school. He was like, he has his foot on the baby's necks, on the children's neck, and the wife's neck, and say, hey, this is how I like it, and that's how it's going to be. Like, stern, and just, he has his own way of doing things, and that's it. He doesn't listen to anything else. And that's what the girl was resenting. She's now an adult, right? She doesn't get money from the parents anymore or anything like that. So by the time I started, I got a chance to talk, and I told them, I said, hey, listen, the lesson here is for all of us. It's not just for her, right? The real lesson is gratitude. Sometimes, God packages the things that we're supposed to be grateful about. It packages into imperfection. It's not just, I was about to say it's not always perfect, but actually it's never perfect. Okay. It's actually never, ever perfect. He packages some little things we can appreciate, and when we spend more time appreciating those little things, it tends to expand, or we see life as half glass full, right, as opposed to seeing it as half glass empty, right? Gratitude, right? It's an abundance mindset thing, right? It's something you have to be, now this part you have to be intentional about, because sometimes for all of us, right, we just see the worst of everything. In certain scenario, we just say, hey, I don't enjoy that. No, don't do that. You tell your wife, like, I don't like when you do that, right? And we spend less time appreciating the things that we like about her. We do the same thing with the people that represent the culture. We do the same thing that with people. So when there's time for us to see, like, oh, let's protect that. When other groups of people will protect that shit, what we do is we castigate, we try to pull them down. We're not necessarily doing it intentionally. Again, the point here is that intentions are overrated. We need to be more intentional when it comes to some of the reverse psychology and mindset things. Things like gratitude, abundance mindset. If something seems like it's not adequate or it's not good enough, we need to look a little closer and see if there's something we can appreciate about that. Spend more energy on edifying that, protect it. But also, I'm not saying we should not hold people accountable. What I am saying is that if that's all you do, just holding accountable, the people you're holding accountable are going to resent you. They're going to multiply that energy. They're going to reciprocate that energy. They're going to make that energy spread. So what I see with Black people in general, both here and in Africa, is that we tend to not understand that part of power dynamics is to appreciate your own. Yoruba people say, "Onwani langbe laruge." That means whatever is your own, no matter how imperfect it is, you have to learn how to edify it. Learn how to edify it. It's extremely hard to edify it if there's a little bit of a defect. Our mind goes to things we don't like. Our mind goes there. So we have to be a little bit more intentional and say, hey, It's not perfect, but that's our own. We're going to edify it. We can do it in marriage. You do with your children, right? We're not saying don't hold your children accountable or don't give them a little a spanking, right? What I'm saying is that, are you spending just as much energy or more on making sure you shed light on when they do the right thing? In every relationship, in anything we want to do as a group of people, we need to engage things more in that way. And when we see somebody doing the opposite of that, let's say for example you fell into a group of feminists and they're busy roasting men, that's not your cue to start roasting women. That's your cue to say, I'm not going to compete with these people. That's not going to help us, right? Maybe there's something we need to hear. There's some element of truth in what they're saying. Obviously, none of it is absolute truth. It's bullshit for the most part, right? But there's truth in it, right? What is the truth in it? We need to spend more energy finding out what that truth is and use it as a leverage point to regain our power as leaders of the society. That's what I'm encouraging that we should be doing. And spend less energy on painting pictures, painting everybody, or putting everybody, or bracketing everybody into the negatives of our society. For every time, if you're looking for negative, there's more than enough. You will find them. I promise you, you'll find them. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I have. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. This was a very nice 2-hour session. I'm sorry it wasn't a Will Smith roast session. Is it Will Simp or Will Smith? I think it's Will Smith. I think that's what results says. And I'm more focused on results, right? Is it perfect? No, it's not. Absolutely not. Is he your role model? I mean, if you're not comfortable making Will Smith your role model, don't make him your role model. It's not my role model by any stretch, right, of the imagination. But I think it's a guy that needs to be protected. It's part of the culture, Black people culture, that's our pride that we should protect. I think we should put less energy in pulling people down, and pulling people down. These guys are gonna fuck up from time to time. Look at what Bill Cosby did, right? They're gonna do that because they're not perfect. So they have more than enough if they're doing the wrong thing. But I think I don't think Will Smith is that. If he's that, the laws will catch up with him. I don't think it's that. I think it's the guy that's been consistent, quite all right. And I think we need to protect him. So thank you so much.